A wise man once said, interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater. These are words, wise words, profound words, words to live by. What am I playing? All right, once again, we're ignoring the mess. I have had end of quarter crunch happening, and I've just not come down here and tidied up. I've also been scrambling, looking for what to play. I've got this gap between Lords of the Fallen and the next game that I want to play that is just shipped this morning. And that's the latest Yakuza game, Infinite Wealth. And so I'm trying to fill that gap until the game gets here. And so I'm like going through stuff, trying to find stuff to play that isn't going to take up a lot of time so I can finish it before that gets here. Cats just ran up the stairs. I don't know if you heard that. But yeah, I made a mess that was already a mess, even more a mess. What you can't see is there's also mess here under the camera of like a bunch of Genesis games that I've been trying out, saying, I wonder if I want to play this. Maybe I want to play this. Maybe I want to play this. So, yeah, it's a mess. We're going to ignore it. All right, so first up, still playing Lords of the Fallen. I am now, even though I'm holding up the PlayStation 5 box, I'm now almost exclusively playing on PC. You know, I finished this game. My friends, we all finished this game. We're all trying to do at least one more run to get different endings. I just finished my Umbral ending literally last night. I was actually ready to finish it over the weekend, but a friend of mine really wanted to do the final fight because he really enjoys it. So I was kind of waiting until he was available to play with me and beat the fight. The last ending that I'm working on is the Inferno ending. With the Inferno ending, I'm going full Bucket Lord. Well, not really full Bucket Lord. I'm using the buckets, the bucket weapons, which are the reward from the I don't know, the bucket guy. What is his name? I don't know what his name is. But you get a reward from doing his request, these two gilded buckets. And I made a build around it, and it's really freaking fun. I'm really enjoying it. For a long time, probably the first half of my playthrough in New Game Plus, I was like one-shotting, well, maybe not entirely one-shotting, but practically one-shotting bosses with the buckets. It was pretty fun. Now that I'm about halfway through, the bosses have gotten a little bit harder, and it's no longer one-shotting, but they still melt with the buckets. It's kind of ridiculous how much damage those stupid buckets do. I mean, they have like 3 base status effects that they have that they build up. There's like Wither, Ignite, and Smite, I think, are the 3 status effects. And what I've done is I've added Bleed on top of that. And so I get 4 status effects with a very fast-moving weapon. And I just destroy, just completely obliterate things. It's a lot of fun. But I mean, honestly, I've finished the game now 3 times, and I'm on my 4th playthrough. Other than achievement farming, I'm pretty much done. And looking at some of the achievements, I'm not sure I really want to go back and get them all, especially considering that, you know, what do I get them on? Do I get them on the PlayStation 5? Do I get trophies on the PlayStation 5? Or do I get achievements on Steam? Or do I do both? I don't know. The thing is I'm when I'm done with my Inferno ending, I'm probably just going to stop playing, at least for the time being. I will probably return because I really have enjoyed the game, and it's definitely something I'm going to return to and play in the future, but I feel pretty satisfied with the amount of content that I've gotten out of it. So it's the sort of thing where as soon as I'm done with Inferno, I'm done. I'm not going to play it for at least another 6 months to maybe a year before I try it again. I do have one of the friends that I'm playing with, he's trying to get all the trophies on the PlayStation 5. He's currently going for the one where you get all of the gear, which honestly, I wouldn't mind doing all the trophies if it wasn't for that one. Trying to get all the gear in the game and having to farm enemies to get their gear is... And then, like, having to get gear from different quests, many of which conflict with each other, it's kind of bullshit. So I am probably never going to do that one. But yeah, Lords of the Fallen, I really enjoy it. Hopefully this will be the last week I talk about it. Because I feel like I'm done. I'm feeling finished and accomplished in the game, and I don't want to play it anymore. After I finish Inferno, I'm done. But yeah, no, I am enjoying it. Lords of the Fallen is a freaking blast. All right, next game, Cult of the Lamb. Even though this is the limited edition from Devolver Digital for the PlayStation 5, I'm actually playing this on my Steam Deck. So Cult of the Lamb is wild. I do have it physically for the PlayStation 5, but I discovered that it was... Not only was it Steam Deck verified, but it was like... It plays incredibly well on the Steam Deck. Graphically, it's just... It's not a terribly demanding game, so... it's not really pushing the Steam Deck that hard. But it's a really pretty game. It's a game that just looks great on, your tiny Steam Deck screen. And it's just fun. It's so fun, in fact, that as I was playing it, I was like, oh man, I bet my daughter would really enjoy this. So I bought it for her on Steam, and she's been playing it on the Steam Deck. So we've kind of been playing it together, not together, because there's no co-op, but kind of like parallel playthroughs happening at the same time. But it's a blast. It's a very fun game. So what is Cult of the Lamb? Well, it's a roguelite. You almost want to say it's got dungeon crawler kind of vibes to it. But it also has like survival, although it's not really your survival, it's kind of more, it's almost like Animal Crossing in a way. It's like you're building out this village, and except it's not a village, it's a cult compound, and you have to like keep your cult members happy, and you've got to keep them alive and keep them protected and keep them faithful. And there's all these, these different like Sims style aspects to making a cult member happy. But while they are doing their little thing in the cult compound, you're out and exploring these levels, defeating enemies, defeating bosses, and the levels are all randomly generated. So every time you go into one of them, this is the reason why I said it's kind of almost like a dungeon crawler. You go into one of these levels, and they do very much feel like a randomized dungeon. But like the basic premise of the game is that you are this lamb who is being sacrificed by this cult. And when you die, this elder god takes your soul and is like, I want you to be my chosen one. I want you to go back, and I want you to make your own cult, and I want you to destroy all of the other cults. And that's the basic premise of the game. You're this little demonic lamb that's running around recruiting cult members and killing other cults, and it's very cartoonish, and it's very silly, and it's just really freaking fun. It is just a blast. And I mean, I knew it was a blast. It was a game that got good reviews, and I've had friends that said, oh man, this is a good game, you gotta play it. And clearly, I bought it physically for the PlayStation 5, but for whatever reason, I have not played it yet. I mean, before now. But I also had it on Steam, and I installed on the Steam Deck, and it's just been a blast. But no, I'm enjoying it. Cult of the Lamb is a blast. If you are looking for a good roguelite that has kind of more of a story and kind of more of a character progression, maybe not character progression is the wrong term, but more of it feels more like a regular game with roguelite elements. Cult of the Lamb is a great choice for something like that. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. All right. Next up, I have been playing Atari Recharged Collection 1 and 2 on the Switch, which includes 4 games. It includes... Oh, it doesn't really say on the front. It says on the back, it includes Asteroids, Centipede, Black Widow, and Breakout. So this is one of the recent recharged collections of games that Atari have put out, where they've taken some of their classic arcade games and kind of, given a fresh coat of paint over the top and kind of given them some modern amenities to make them feel more modern. And, every single one of these games is a blast. They are all incredibly fun. I am not certain what their individual prices are for the games on the eShop. But as far as if you get them in a collection, it is totally worth it. Individually, I don't know, not so much. But as a collection, really fun. But yeah, they take each one of these classic games and they almost give them a roguelike element to them, which honestly, that sort of gameplay pairs well with retro arcade style gameplay. It just is. It's really fun. It's like you're playing something in the arcade all over again, and it's a blast. Of the 4, I don't know. I would say that the 3 that I really, really love are Centipede, Asteroids, and Black Widow. Those are all the ones that I'm really, really loving. Breakout is okay, but if I'm honest, it's really just kind of repeating the stuff that we've already seen before in Arkanoid. Arkanoid already kind of perfected the Breakout formula. And, Breakout Recharge doesn't really do too much that we didn't already see done, in Arkanoid back in the 90s. So I would say that Breakout is probably the weakest. But the other 3, I should say, are really, really fun. Centipede is a blast. It really does play very well with modern sensibilities. Asteroids is comfort food. It's a game that back in the 80s, I used to play Asteroids just for hours. I would zone out and play it and just, see how long it could go on a single life. And that's kind of the way this one is. It's giving me that same sort of vibe. And then Black Widow winds up being like this twin stick. Is it a shooter? I'm trying to remember if it was a twin stick shooter. I think it has to be a shooter. But it's a twin stick controlled game that is really quite enjoyable. I kind of slept on Black Widow in the arcade, and only recently have been getting into it between my Atari 50 arcade cabinet and this. And I feel bad that I slept on it, because I really would have loved this game a lot as a kid. But yeah, no, the Atari Recharged Collection, Volume 1 and Volume 2 is a blast. I know it's probably not something you can pick up now. I got the limited edition one from Limited Run Games, probably not being sold anymore, but certainly you can buy these things digitally, and I believe they all do run on the Steam Decks too, so if you wanted to get them on Steam and play them there, that's a fine way to play them. But they're a blast. I greatly enjoy them. It's a lot of fun. All right, so the last game that I'm playing is actually a new one for this list. It's a Vampire Survivors clone, and it is called Time Survivors. So, Time Survivors, like I said, it's another one of these Vampire Survivors clone, which is, pretty evident from the title. Its gimmick is that you're kind of traveling through time, recruiting famous figures from the past, and those are the figures that you're using in your Survivors style game. Beyond that gimmick, it really doesn't seem to bring much more to the table. There's not a whole lot new, and not a whole lot of stuff you haven't seen before. In fact, it really doesn't even do a lot of the stuff that other Survivors games do as well as they do. There's a lot of things that it doesn't do great. I guess what I'm saying is it's a little weak, but it is in early access, and at least so far, the devs do seem to be receptive to some of the complaints people are having to it, so hopefully it will improve. But, aside from it being a weaker Survivors clone, I am having fun with it. I'm not going to lie that it is an enjoyable game. It's not something that, in its current state, I'm going to be playing a lot. But if for no other reason, it is fun for a laugh. You get. It's really entertaining to see Abraham Lincoln attacking enemies with this bizarre yo-yo weapon that is baffling and kind of impossible to control. It's silly and it's funny, and in a lot of ways, it feels like the game developers are kind of going for memes, which is a bit of a shaky foundation for a video game, if I'm honest. But it's the sort of thing where if they really, kind of stick the landing and they really improve the gameplay, this could turn into something special. It really does have that potential. But as it stands right now, it's pretty weak, and I'm not sure I would really necessarily recommend it to you, unless you're really jonesing for another Survivors clone and there's just you've played everything else out there. But certainly it's something to keep on your radar. Maybe check on it again in a few months and see if the early access has improved. Because, the foundations are good. The fundamentals are solid. It just needs to kind of improve the gameplay a bit. But yeah, Time Survivors. I'm playing it. It's okay. It's occasionally silly, and, might not have the most replayability, but yeah, there's worse things you could do. My daughter is really into Slime Rancher, and so she's been getting these. I think this is from Slime Rancher. This one, I don't know. This might not be from Slime Rancher. Ooh, it's a bee, and it's got a butt. Anyway, this is definitely from Slime Rancher. I think it is. Anyway, the point is she's getting these plushies, and our cats drag them around. Like I'll be down in the basement, and while I'm doing stuff, you'll hear them meow, meow, and like carrying one of these things down the stairs and like plopping it here for me. And it kind of frustrates my daughter because these are her favorite. She has them all over in her bed, and they keep going upstairs, like going up to the third floor into her room, dragging them down 2 flights of stairs into the basement to drop them off to tell their daddy they love him. So, but it's a little frustrating because she's like, she comes home from school and they're like all over the house and she's mad. But, yeah, they're kind of funny. Anyway, that's it. I got nothing else. See ya. I love you. Interior crocodile alligator. Yes. How much of a mess is it behind me? Shoes off. Shoes off. I'm going to move this kitty.